Everyone believed Elizabeth Holmes was the next Steve Jobs. They were catastrophically wrong. The year was 2014, and Theranos, a Silicon Valley startup, was valued at $9 billion. Its founder, Elizabeth Holmes, a Stanford dropout, promised a revolution. A single drop of blood, analyzed by a machine called Edison, would provide hundreds of accurate diagnostic tests. This wasn't just innovation, it was a paradigm shift, poised to disrupt a multi-billion-dollar industry and democratize healthcare. Holmes, with her distinctive deep voice, black turtleneck, and intense blue eyes, cultivated an image of visionary genius. She graced the covers of Forbes and Fortune, spoke alongside world leaders, and assembled a board of directors that read like a who's who of American power: Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, James Mattis. The hype machine was in full swing, yet beneath the polished surface, something far more sinister was festering. Her vision, as compelling as it was, relied on a core premise that was, to put it mildly, deeply flawed. The Edison device, the very heart of Theranos' promise, simply didn't work as advertised. It was a hollow syringe, a beautifully packaged lie designed to extract investor capital and public trust, while delivering almost nothing of genuine medical value. To truly understand the scale of this deception, we need to rewind to the origins of Theranos. Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford in 2003 at just 19 years old, with an idea to revolutionize blood testing. She pitched a patch that would scan for infections and deliver antibiotics. This early concept, while ambitious, quickly morphed into something far grander and ultimately far more fraudulent. She secured initial funding, notably from family, friends, and eventually established venture capitalists. Her pitch was intoxicating: a small, automated device that could perform a full range of tests using only a few drops of blood drawn from a finger prick. This would make testing cheaper, faster, and more accessible, moving it out of large labs and into pharmacies and even homes. The allure was undeniable. Traditional blood tests require venipuncture, a needle in the arm, and multiple vials of blood sent to large, centralized laboratories. It's often inconvenient, sometimes painful, and can take days for results. Theranos promised to eliminate all of that. It was the perfect Silicon Valley narrative: disruption, democratization, and a charismatic young founder. But the reality inside Theranos' Palo Alto headquarters was a stark contrast to the glossy external image. Employees described a culture of intense secrecy, fear, and scientific suppression. Information was compartmentalized to an extreme degree. No single person seemed to have a full picture of how the Edison device was supposed to work, let alone if it actually did. Whistleblowers later revealed that the Edison machines consistently failed quality control tests. They produced unreliable results, often wildly inaccurate. Instead of revolutionizing blood testing, Theranos was endangering patients by providing faulty diagnoses. Yet Holmes and her second-in-command, Ramesh Sunny Balwani, pressed on, silencing dissent and punishing anyone who questioned the company's claims. The company's desperate solution: they began secretly processing patient samples on modified, commercially available blood testing machines from other companies, rather than their own much-vaunted Edison devices. This monumental deception was conducted behind the scenes, a betrayal of trust to both investors and, more importantly, the patients whose health depended on accurate results. By 2013, Theranos had entered into a partnership with Walgreens, rolling out wellness centers in Arizona and California. Patients could walk in, give a finger prick sample, and receive results that promised to be comprehensive and quick. This public-facing operation gave the illusion of success and legitimacy, further fueling investor confidence and media fascination. The grand illusion began to unravel in 2015, largely due to the persistent efforts of investigative journalist John Carreyrou of the Wall Street Journal. Carreyrou, tipped off by former Theranos employees, started digging. His initial article, published in October 2015, exposed the core truth: Theranos was using traditional lab equipment for most of its tests, and its Edison machines were fundamentally unreliable. Holmes and Balwani vehemently denied Carreyrou's reporting, calling it sensationalist and inaccurate. They deployed their powerful legal team to intimidate sources and silence the press. But the dam had broken. Former employees, emboldened by Carreyrou's article, began to speak out more openly, painting a devastating picture of scientific fraud and corporate malfeasance. Regulatory bodies, initially slow to react, finally stepped in. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, found severe deficiencies at Theranos' Newark, California lab. They cited problems with quality control, personnel, and equipment, ultimately revoking the lab's license and sanctioning Holmes herself. This was a critical blow, stripping away any veneer of medical credibility. Investors began to pull back. Walgreens terminated its partnership in 2016, a significant public humiliation. The SEC, the Department of Justice, and federal prosecutors all launched investigations. The $9 billion valuation evaporated, leaving behind a trail of shattered reputations and immense financial losses for those who had believed in the Theranos dream. The downfall culminated in criminal charges. In March 2018, Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani were indicted on charges of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The prosecution alleged that they had knowingly defrauded investors out of hundreds of millions of dollars and jeopardized patient health through false claims about Theranos' technology. The trial of Elizabeth Holmes began in August 2021, a protracted legal battle that captivated the public. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence of deception, doctored reports, manufactured demonstrations, and the desperate measures taken to conceal the truth. Holmes, taking the stand, attempted to shift blame, alleging abuse from Balwani and claiming ignorance of the technical failures. In January 2022, after a months-long trial, Elizabeth Holmes was found guilty on 4 counts of defrauding investors. The jury, however, acquitted her on charges related to defrauding patients and remained deadlocked on 3 other investor fraud counts. It was a partial victory for the prosecution, but a definitive end to her image as a visionary entrepreneur. Sunny Balwani's trial followed, and in July 2022, he too was found guilty on all 12 counts of defrauding both investors and patients. Both were eventually sentenced to prison, marking a rare instance of Silicon Valley executives facing criminal consequences for corporate fraud. Holmes received just over 11 years, Balwani nearly 13. The story of Theranos serves as a chilling cautionary tale. It exposed the darker side of Silicon Valley's fake-it-till-you-make-it culture, where ambition can morph into delusion and hype can overshadow scientific reality. The pressure to deliver on impossible promises, combined with a lack of oversight, created a fertile ground for outright fraud. It also highlights the vulnerabilities of investors and the public to charismatic figures and compelling narratives, especially when those narratives promise to solve complex problems with seemingly simple, revolutionary solutions. The desire for a quick fix, for a disruptive breakthrough, can blind even seasoned professionals to fundamental red flags. The impact on patients was perhaps the most egregious aspect of the Theranos scandal. Individuals received inaccurate diagnoses, leading to incorrect medical treatments or, worse, a false sense of security, while serious conditions went undetected. The human cost of such corporate deceit is immeasurable, a stark reminder that innovation without ethics is dangerous. Today, Theranos is a defunct company, its offices vacant, its once celebrated technology relegated to the annals of corporate fraud. Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani are behind bars, their grand ambitions reduced to ignominious convictions. The hollow syringe, once a symbol of a promised revolution, became the enduring emblem of a billion-dollar lie. The saga serves as a permanent scar on the face of Silicon Valley, a testament to the fact that even in the pursuit of groundbreaking innovation, integrity and truth must remain paramount. When the pursuit of wealth and fame eclipses basic scientific principles and ethical conduct, the consequences can be catastrophic for individuals, for industries, and for the very idea of progress. Next, we'll dissect how WeWork's community vision crumbled into a chaotic corporate fire sale.